Julian turned to look, and the one who had spoken was that swift, life-extinguishing blade. He accused, "The scent of humans on you is a little too heavy." The crowd of ghosts all chided. "He's a puppet master. It's understandable. He's got essence of evil on him as well." Swift, life-extinguishing blade countered, No, look closer, everyone. The essence of evil on this puppet master doesn't feel like it's emitted from within. It's more like it's died from the outside." The dyed essence of evil on the surface should have been possible originally, but once it became the point of focus for the crowd of ghosts, the details would be magnified. The swift, life-extinguishing blade didn't look like he was very smart at first, similar to that heaven's eye. Julian had taken him for an insignificant little side character, but who knew he wasn't that easy to deceive? A ghost piped up. "You look like you're well versed in this, so is there anything concrete to your words? How do we tell? You got any ideas?" Swift, life-extinguishing blade replied, "Yes, there's a tool that can determine just exactly what he is." From his sleeve, he pulled out an object. The moment the crowd of ghosts saw it, they instantly backed away. "The f***," they shouted. "You have a yellow talisman on you? Are you sure you're not the heavenly official?" Swift, life-extinguishing blade explained earnestly, "No, I killed some cultivators on the way here and took their belongings. That's all. These are just the little typical yellow talismans for dealing with little ghosts and irrelevant little minions. Since everyone made it here, I'm sure these talismans would do nothing to you. Watch." Then he slapped that yellow talisman on his forehead. Crackle, crackle, that yellow talisman burnt up into a wisp of black smoke on his face, leaving a black, ashen mark on his forehead. That swift, life-extinguishing blade said, "Even though this talisman can't do anything to me, I can at least prove my identity." Something like a paper talisman could be used to deal with ghosts and demons, but on the flip side, it could also be used to identify whether a person was in fact a person. Swift, life-extinguishing blade pointed at Julian and said, "If you're really a puppet master, then stick this yellow talisman on your forehead. We'll see whether it leaves a mark." Julian didn't show any reaction, but his mind was spinning rapidly. However, Xiang whispered, "Don't worry, Coco." Thus, Julian knew that Xiang was confident in his chances. He put Xiang down and approached easily. He took that talisman and pressed it on his forehead. Crackle, crackle, that yellow talisman burned into a wisp of black smoke. However, after the smoke had cleared, Julian's forehead was still unmarred, with not a trace left behind. This proved that the essence of evil on his person was only dyed on the surface. Other than that cloaked figure with crossed arms, hundreds of ghosts instantly surrounded them, yelling and howling, looking like they were ready to bring out all sorts of bizarre weapons. But then they were all instantly repelled by an invisible barrier. The crowd of ghosts was stunned. Well, pretty skilled too," they said. Julian flipped open his hands and said, "I didn't do anything." Just then, Xiang, who was standing behind him, spoke. He approached with his fists at his sides. "You bunch of unlearned country bumpkin ghosts. What are you all looking so surprised for?" "And you're a man of the world, little ghost baby?" they asked. "It ain't a lie that he ain't got essence of evil on him. Just who are you? Declare yourselves now." Xiang answered, "What a bunch of fools. Of course there's none on his body, because I'm the real puppet master." Just as the words left his lips, the crowd of ghosts could sense an exceedingly haunting chill blow past them, like the entire field was going to freeze. Even with their cool bodies, they still shuddered. What's going on? They asked. Giving you all a taste of the world, that's all, Huachang said. That life-extinguishing blade questioned, feeling trepidation. If you're the real puppet master, and he's also a puppet master, then who's the real one? No, it can't be him. So what kind of person is he? Before Huachang responded, Xilian smiled and said, obviously, the kind that belongs to him. The crowd of ghosts were befuddled for a moment. Then it finally dawned on them. So it's the opposite? He's the master, and you're the puppet? They asked. Swift, life-extinguishing blade was suspicious. Then why did you say that you were the puppet master earlier? What's the intention of your lie? Huachang smiled. Because I thought it'd be amusing, he responded. Xilian smiled too and said, that's right. Master finding it amusing is the most important reason. After the female ghosts got over their initial shock, they tucked away their long claws and tongues and started circling around Xilian anew, examining him. For some reason, the commentary from the female ghosts directed at him took on a completely different flavor than when they were checking out Huachang. Somehow, they sounded more bold. So is this little Gogo the real puppet? Ah yeah, I like this age better. Now I want one even more. Are you sure you don't take orders? Xilian gently replied, thank you for your affection, but I'm actually very old. This material is human skin, right? The ghosts asked. The treatment is done fairly cleanly. There isn't any of that stinking, rancid musk of men from those burly brutes. Master, how do you manage the maintenance? Do you use perfume? It's human skin, Xilian replied. No perfumes, just bathe frequently and drink lots of water. The female ghosts continued. Wow, feels like this puppet can do many things, all sorts of things, but the face and body look pretty good, eh? Looks like the feel of his skin is nice too, but he's a little skinny. I wonder if there's some meat on there after stripping off the clothes. They giggled. Xilian had been maintaining a polite and humble smile the entire time, but seeing that there were actually female ghosts coming closer, ready to feel his chest with their eyes bright, his brows twitched. Huachang pressed 2 fingers together and lightly swung them upward, and the circle of hands, delicate as well as withered both, were waved away. Xilian immediately crouched to hide behind Huachang, and the female ghosts were annoyed. What are you going to say, that this puppet has a bad temper too, and doesn't like other people touching him? He looks nice, they shouted. Huachang reached out and lifted Xilian's chin. His temper is certainly nice, he said, but my temper is bad. No one shall touch what I love, except for me. Xilian followed along and obediently raised his face, holding back his laugh so hard his gut was spasming. Still, he was very cooperative and gazed into Huachang's eyes, speaking earnestly. No, son, Master's temper is very nice too. Huachang also laughed, looking very satisfied. The two went back and forth, getting quite into their roles, but another ghost on the side interrupted. I still think the scent of human on him is too strong. Then what do you want to do? The female ghosts questioned. That ghost said, I heard that puppets made of skin aren't stuffed with flesh, so if they're stabbed, they won't bleed. Let me stab him with a blade and see. But before he finished his thought, he was frightened into silence with a sharp eye. Huachang said coldly, Try touching him, I dare you. Do you think that I would let the things that I treasure deeply in my heart be so easily touched by you lot? The crowd of ghosts had been pushed back by the power of his aura earlier, and now that Huachang was making threats, they didn't dare move another muscle. They subconsciously backed away to give them some breathing room. That swift, life-extinguishing blade, who had started everything, saw that things were going downhill and actually became the first to try and smooth things over. "Please don't be furious, Puppet Master," he said. "We haven't even entered the boundaries of Mount Tong'lu yet. We can talk more after going in. Let's not start anything amongst ourselves now." He Chang's eyes glanced to the side. "Rather than harassing my puppet, why not ask instead why that one still won't remove their cloak?" he said. The eccentric cloaked figure had been standing there on the side the entire time and still hadn't removed their cloak since the ruckus started. They had been watching with their arms crossed like they were enjoying a show, completely removed from the hubbub. Now that He Chang had pointed them out, the show couldn't be watched anymore, since they had become the star. Swift, life-extinguishing blade walked forward a step. "Will this friend also remove their cloak to let us see?" he asked. That cloaked figure paused for a long time. Just when Xiang was starting to suspect that they were ready to kick up dirt and run away, that cloaked figure suddenly reached out and cleanly pulled off the cloak. Under the cloak was a handsome but slightly plain, completely normal face. Such a person, if they were thrown into a crowd, they wouldn't look bad, but they'd be easily forgotten, their appearance unretainable. It made those ghosts who saw this reveal rather disappointed. However, Xiang was growing wary. "It's obviously a fake face," He Chang said. His voice could only be heard by Xiang, and Xiang nodded. Sometimes, when heavenly officials or renowned ghosts had business to do in the mortal realm, instead of using their inconvenient real forms, they'd create a fake face. In situations like these, the most important element of this transformation was plain and normal, no matter whether it was good-looking or not, as long as it was plain enough to ensure that no matter how long someone was to stare at their face, they'd still forget the moment they turned away. That would constitute a successful transformation. The face of that cloaked figure perfectly matched the key component of such a transformation. So it was more than likely not his real face, and his real identity was unknown. Swift, life-extinguishing blade handed out a yellow talisman. That cloaked figure took it and stuck it on his forehead without hesitation. Crackle, crackle, smoke, a mark. It seemed he was also a ghost and not a human. After all this ruckus, the crowd was getting aggravated. "So is there really a heavenly official mixed in or not?" they asked. "Who's the one who brought this up? You better not be wrong." Swift, life-extinguishing blade raised his hand and said, "The first to notice was me, but it's true. I definitely smelled a heavenly official. Ah!" Unexpectedly, mid-speech, he suddenly screamed and toppled over. Shocked, Xiang rushed forward and found that there was an extra bloody hole on his body. The hole pierced through the abdomen, and on the wound there was a faint residue. It was a kind of spiritual light only found on the bodies of heavenly officials. The crowd of ghosts was shocked. "Look at his wound," they shouted. "There's really a heavenly official among us." Swift, life-extinguishing blade covered that bloody hole and cried terrified, "Everyone, watch out! They want to wipe us out." The crowd of ghosts immediately lost their minds in terror, like a pot had exploded. They all raised their weapons, ready to face enemies from any direction, yelling, "Who is it? Who wants to wipe us out? Where are you hiding?" When that swift, life-extinguishing blade was first hit, the first thought that flashed through Xiang's mind was, "I knew those who give themselves such ridiculous titles are the first to go down." After blinking, Shilian shouted, "Everyone saw just now, right? My master and I were both under your scrutiny the entire time. We didn't do anything." As he spoke, he glanced sharply at that cloaked individual. That figure also raised his hand, his suppressed voice low. "Same," he said. Shilian leaned down to check over swift, life-extinguishing blade's injuries and stated, "It's a sword wound. Whoever's using a sword right now is..." When he turned his head, he was instantly speechless. It seemed the sword wasn't just the most popular weapon in the mortal and heavenly realms, but also in the ghost realm. Of the 400 or so ghosts present, at least more than 300 wielded swords, completely uncountable. Shilian cleared his throat and continued. "If only there were more yellow talismans we could use, like the ones earlier, then we wouldn't have to worry about who's who." Of course, this was an offhand comment, trying to make himself sound helpful. If there really were heavenly colleagues who infiltrated this crowd, he certainly didn't want to help to pick them out. The swift blade demon also couldn't possibly have that many yellow talismans at the ready either. Yet unexpectedly, just as Shilian made his comment, swift, life-extinguishing blade actually did pull out a thick stack of yellow talismans. "Oh, I do have more," he yelled. Shilian couldn't help but want to take a look behind his back. "Just where did you pull those out?" he asked. "That's not important," swift, life-extinguishing blade yelled. "No, it's very important," Shilian said. "Normally, you don't take such heavy burdens with you on the road. They're heavy enough to be thrown like bricks to kill people. Just how many cultivators did you kill?" Swift, life-extinguishing blade glared at him and said, "Maybe 20-something. No wonder. If every cultivator carried with them around 10 talismans, then adding them all together, there were at least over 200. Without further ado, the crowd of ghosts were anxious to find out who among them were heavenly officials, and quickly came up with a rough method. They formed into groups of 2, each sticking a yellow talisman on their partner's forehead and observing whether their partners had ashen marks. Some small-time ghosts were still afraid. "Do I actually have to do this?" they asked. "Won't this break my spirit?" It won't. It's exactly like those talismans they were using earlier. The powers are weak, so at most, they'll just leave a mark," their partner reassured. "Oh," was the response. Huchang narrowed his eyes and seemed to have noticed something. Soon, in the crowd of 400-something ghosts, fields and fields of them now all had that yellow talisman taped to their forehead, looking peculiar and silly. However, after the talismans were stuck on, nothing happened. The ghosts all looked at each other. "What's going on?" they asked. "Hey, Swiftblade Demon, what kind of cultivators did you kill? Why are the talismans so shitty? They're not working," someone complained. Shilian had thought that things were off from the start, and now his brows were knitted. He was just about to speak when a female ghost next to him pursed her lips and whined. "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm ripping this off." "Huh? What's going on? Why can't I rip this off?" Several female ghosts all started shrieking at once. "Me too. Why won't this rip off?" "Crap." Just at the same time, Huchang warned in a low voice, "Gurga, crouch down." Shilian immediately followed his instruction, and Huchang immediately covered his ears. Not far from them, that cloaked figure also immediately pulled his cloak over his head and half knelt to the ground. Soon after, with a loud booming noise, like a series of firecrackers exploding, loud rumbles roared to the skies.